Welcome back, everybody. It's Fast Cars, Fast Money, and we are back. Sorry for the no content last weekend. Things got a little busy. We were all traveling. It just didn't work out, unfortunately, to get a spreadsheet or video out for any of the series. So things should be back to normal this weekend. We just have the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series over at New Hampshire, Loudon. It's 300. This one's going over the Cup Series, so it's 301 laps. It's known as the Magic Mile. It's a 1 mile flat track, and this is one of, if not the flattest tracks that we go to. One thing to keep in mind, we are using the same tire that we used at Richmond, Gateway, and Phoenix earlier this year. Since there's 301 laps, there's 75.25 points available for laps led and 135.45 points available for fast laps. So coming into this weekend, what are we really looking at? What do we really want to do? Well, the first thing is we've got to see how these teams practice. The nice thing from a content creation standpoint is the Xfinity team is practicing and qualifying on Friday, and racing on Saturday gives us a lot of time to analyze that data and make our final picks. Same thing with the Cup Series, except they're going to be a Saturday, Sunday, type of deal over there. So first thing is let's look at the practice data. Let's try to figure out, what teams are showing up with speed, who we think the potential lap leaders are going to be, and then try to maybe look at some of these other data points to then differentiate or maybe help us evaluate, one driver versus another driver. And what are those data points we're going to look at besides practice data? Well, it's mainly just going to be the short flat tracks that we've ran at so far this year. So Richmond, Gateway, Phoenix. You can look at Martinsville to an extent. Martinsville kind of had some weird, conditions with the weather, and they were running a different tire. But generally speaking, you want to use the 2022 data just because we are in the next gen car. We aren't in the car that we were using last year. Let me just zoom this in a little bit so you guys can see better. So what is with all the colors, Andrew? Well, green is going to be drivers who I like, who I want to prioritize. Again, this could all change, but coming into the weekend, these are the drivers that I'm high on. Yellow are going to be, potential pivots or drivers who might be a secondary interest for me. And then blue is just drivers that I don't really necessarily see myself getting to. I'm not going to eliminate them by any means. I just initial thoughts, there just aren't really drivers I want to focus on. So I would say my two favorite plays are probably Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney. Both of them have been extremely fast at the short flat tracks, showing excellent speed. Blaney does give you a nice discount off of Kyle Busch. He's $1,000 cheaper. But depending on how he does in practice and qualifying, Blaney probably is going to be pretty high owned this weekend. Another driver that, probably two drivers that I'm still very high on that would probably rank just behind Busch and Blaney would then be Logano and Chastain. Logano is someone who won Gateway. He is always showing up at these kind of short flat tracks. Maybe necessarily isn't always the lap leader or the guy picking up the fast laps, but he always seems to be in contention. He always seems to be in the picture. He looks like a guy who I could feel confident plugging in my line and seeing him getting up towards the front or picking up some fast laps at some point in this race. And Draftkings must agree because they priced him up to 10,800 this weekend. Chastain's going to be another one. Like Blaney, he gives you, basically $1,000 discount off of Logano. My only fear with Chastain is it seems like every week he is just making more and more enemies on the track, or is making people even more upset with him than they already are. So, payback is going to come, his way sooner rather than later. Drivers are going to be racing him a little bit harder than potentially other drivers. So I do think he's going to be fast. I don't know, potentially how those situations might play out on the racetrack. And if you have Chastain in your line, if someone does decide to retaliate this weekend or get into him or turn him around, it's not only going to affect Chastain's day, it's going to affect your DFS day as well. Other than that, like I said, Truex, Byron, and Harvick would be my next interests. Truex is pretty expensive, so he's really going to have to show some good speed in practice and qualifying for me to go there versus some of the drivers I highlighted in green. But two drivers I really like a lot would be William Byron and Kevin Harvick. Harvick seems just extremely consistent. He's been running well at these short flat tracks. He's pretty easy to fit in lines as a, maybe a third potential lap leader. If you're like, hey, I'm going to go with, Bush, Blaney, and then I'm going to go to Harvick. Like he's someone who you would plug in as maybe that option 3. Same argument you can make with Byron. Drivers in blue, I'm not ruling out. They just aren't popping off for me at this moment. But one thing I will comment on, it is interesting that Kyle Larson is $9,600. It seemed like every single week he's been the most expensive driver again and again and again. And he has not been paying off his price tag with how aggressively DraftKings has been pricing him. It's not like he's running poorly. He just isn't paying off the price. And if you have been playing Larson, it hasn't necessarily been working out for you because he has been, more or less a bust for the most part. But Larson's pretty cheap, so it'd be interesting to kind of see if he gets a big ownership spike because of that or not. I would like Christopher Bell if he didn't have Bubba Wallace's pit crew, if they wouldn't have swapped. We already saw last weekend, Bell's tire fell off and the team didn't get penalized. But my only fear is he's going to have a fast car on the racetrack, but the pit crew is going to let him down. He's going to lose positions on pit road, potentially running into an issue, have to cycle to the rear of the field. And it's just, we know how hard it is to pass in these cars. So that's my fear with Bell. And then Reddick and Briscoe, maybe. I just like kind of some of the other drivers more. So those would be, you're probably going to want 3 of these drivers or maybe 4, depending on how low you want to go on the slate and what you're able to actually build. Again, this is just early thoughts. A lot of this could change. But then what are some of the good value plays? What are some of the, cheaper plays that I want to get to? Hopefully you guys can see it, but I just shaded it in kind of like a light green gray color. I think Eric Almirola offers a lot of value for $8,100. Alex Bowman and a Hendrick Motorsports car at $7,800 is way too cheap. Eric Jones has been showing good speed at $7,300. And then I really like Chris Buescher and Cole Custer in kind of the value, punt range, I guess you would say. Maybe Austin Dillon in there too. So those would be kind of my initial guys I want to play coming into this weekend. Again, a lot of this could change depending on how practice goes. We will post a final picks video that gives you a clear understanding of where we're going, who we're over the field on, who we're equal to the field on, who we're not playing at all, who we want to pivot, all that kind of good information. Once qualifying is done, we'll get that video up. But we'll also post a final spreadsheet over on Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM. So since we missed last weekend, I wanted to make sure I got more videos out than we have been. So get 2 preview videos out, and then we'll get 2 picks videos out for you guys as well. So thank you guys, and see you in the next one.